All right, we are back once again for another another DVD review or Blu-ray review, if you will. So today, the last video I did, I'm releasing these back to back. The last video I did was my first impressions of Beetlejuice. So I figured I would give y'all at least a traditional, review that I normally do. So I thought I'd talk about another one that I've watched recently. Also, shout out! We got a new subscriber, probably honestly about a week ago. I try to add them into every video, but sometimes I forget, so I'm sorry. But hello, Jason Sturgis. Thank you very much for the subscription to the channel. I really appreciate it. Welcome aboard. I appreciate it. Anyway, I try to give everybody a shout out if you subscribe to me. I'm not going to ask you guys to subscribe to me, but I very much appreciate it if you do. And do know I do notice and I do pay attention. So thank you guys very much. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about Intruder. So this movie is one that I actually didn't really know anything about, until I just kind of discovered it out of nowhere, and I don't know how it went over my head for so long, to tell you the truth, because I love this damn movie when I actually sat down to actually watch it. And it's funny too, because it's a thing that I've always thought of, like, I'll get into it some more, but it's a horror movie. It's a slasher film inside of a grocery store, and I always thought, because I worked at a grocery store for a very long time. I won't say the name of what it was, but I worked in a grocery store for a very long time as a produce clerk. I was actually a department manager for a long time. For probably about 5 years I did that. And so I always thought that would, especially when I would work overnight and stuff, I was always like, that'd be perfect. This would be perfect for like a murder mystery. Somebody's the killer, picking everybody off. I always thought that was really cool. And that's exactly what you get in this movie. I'm so sorry. I'm just dropping everything today. So I'll just give you a shot of the DVD. This is the Synapse Films release. This is the DVD Blu-ray combo. This has been out for a long time. This is definitely the one to pick up. It's pretty cheap, or it was when I picked it up. I think it was like $10 whenever I got it. I've had it for a while now, but at the time, like I said, I'd never heard of it, and I just happened to see it on a list of great slasher films or something like that. So I had to check it out, and I was very pleased. So, anyway, this movie came out in 1989, and it was directed by Scott Spiegel, I believe is how you say his name. So, if you don't know who he is, he directed From Dusk Till Dawn Part 2. He's worked a lot. He's worked pretty closely with Sam Raimi, on some things, but anyway, he did From Dusk Till Dawn Part 2, Hostel Part 3, and he's done some other stuff I've seen, but I can't think of anything really off the top of my head. Skinned Alive, he did Skinned Alive as well, if you've seen that. Been a long time, but like I said, this movie came out in '89, and it actually has Sam and Ted Raimi both in it, which I just thought was great. Those are the main. They're not like the main actors or anything like that, but they do have a supporting role. But they're definitely the most recognizable faces in this movie. But I will say, all the actors in this movie are great. They do just fine. But anyway, we'll get into it. So basically, this movie takes place in, like I said, in a grocery store. You start out, it's really late. It's like an inner city grocery store. It's really late at night. And they're basically closing down, and the manager comes up and he tells them, he's like, okay, so we basically have to start marking everything down. Everything's going to go to half price because we're closing the store. We're shutting everything down. And they're all just, oh man, that sucks, blah, 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 it's terrible. And, they're all just really bummed out about losing their jobs, and they're really upset. And so then they close down the store and they start packing everything up, and then someone starts picking everyone off one by one. They start killing everyone. It's kind of like in the same vein of like an old Giallo film, which I'm a big Giallo fan. So, if you like that kind of stuff, you'll really love this. If you like murder mysteries, I love a good murder mystery. But basically, that's kind of what goes on. It's just, on this overnight crew, there's several red herrings. People, and that's somebody who you're supposed to think it is, but it's not. And honestly, I will say, when you do find out, I'm not going to spoil it, but when you do find out who the killer is at the end of this movie, it's very surprising. Like, I didn't spoil anything on this. I didn't watch any reviews. I didn't read anything. And there's actually a poster that I saw afterwards that if you look at that poster, you have to be really careful when you look this movie movie up, but if you look at the poster, it gives away who the damn killer is, and that pisses me off. I don't know why they would have done that. I don't know why they did that, but I hate that because he's right there on the freaking poster of the film. And that really, really kind of irritates me, you know. So I don't like that. So if you go into this movie, if you're watching this video, or yeah, if you're watching this video right now and you're interested in it, don't go and look anything else up about it. Just go and watch it if you want to see it, because I don't want it to be spoiled. Because for me, when I sat down and like I said, when I watched it, and when you do find out who the killer is, I was pretty surprised. It kind of took me back, because most of the time I can pick it out. I'm like, oh, it's you. You know, I knew, but honestly, I didn't really. I thought I knew who it was, but I was surprised to find out. You know, and maybe it's because I'm stupid. Who knows? But excuse me. But it is a lot of fun. I love the setting. If you've ever worked in a grocery store, you know, and you've been in there and you love horror movies, you know, and especially like I just remember always bailing boxes in the back, for example, and I'm like, this would make a good way to kill someone in a horror movie. You know what I mean? Or like when I would be back there cutting fruit and vegetables. Like I said, I was the produce guy. When I was cutting fruits and veggies and stuff, or when I'd go over to the meat department and see the saws and things they have, you know, I'm like, oh, that'd be a good scene in a horror movie. You get that in this movie, and it's so great, you know, and like I said, if you work in a grocery store, you know, or if you've ever worked in a grocery store and you love horror movies, you will definitely appreciate this one, because it's so much fun. The effects are amazing. All the kills are excellent. You know, I mean, they're very violent, very gruesome, very gory. They did not skip on the effects whatsoever. And like I said, you know, it's a ton of fun. I really can't. There's not really much else I can say, because I don't want to ruin it. It's very, you know, like I always say, it's very atmospheric, because, you know, I remember always working overnight. I didn't always work overnight, but when I did, I always remember it had a really weird vibe to me, like being in the store. I guess it was because I'm used to seeing it so busy and everybody moving around and going, you know, 90 miles an hour in the store I was in. It was always super busy. So I guess it's because I'm used to that. But, you know, working late at night, you know, at the store I worked at, it always had a very kind of eerie vibe to it. You know what I mean? Especially in the neighborhood that mine is at. I actually don't live very far from it, even right now. But it always had a very, you know, it had that kind of feel to it. And this movie, I think, kind of captures that really well. That very quiet kind of, you know, alone, you know, a place that's not supposed to be real slow and quiet and empty. You know, it's a grocery store. You know, so I thought they did a really good job on that. And again, I thought it was just a very great setting for a horror movie, for a slasher movie. And you know, like I said, great kills. You know, the acting is pretty good. A lot of the actors aren't the greatest. You know, you get a real young Sam Raimi in this, and Ted Raimi. He's funny. I mean, he doesn't ever do anything, you know, in any of his roles. You know, he's always just kind of that same guy, but he's great. You know, I really love Ted and Sam Raimi, and you can pick them out immediately. Like if you know them, you know, you see them, you know, instantly, and they're both just great. I love them, and like I said, a lot of the other actors, the killer. Whenever you do find out who the killer is, it does. You know, you're like, oh, you know, I see, you know what you mean, and he's very spooky. You know, trying to think of something else to say about it. Really and truly. Another fun thing I'll put on this, every time I watch this, like I said, this came out in '89, so it's kind of like looking into a time capsule, because I didn't start working in a grocery store, you know, in the grocery store business till it was probably 2015, give or take, you know, so everything is all modern, of course, you know, like what we've grown up with and stuff. I'm sure people, you know, who are older than me remember this, you know, before, you know, the barcodes, and whenever you had to, you know, manually enter everything in, and whenever a pack of cigarettes was only like $1.35, you know, shit like that. But it's kind of fun, like I said, when you watch this, because it's like looking kind of into a time capsule, you know, in a way, to see how those stores were run, how they were put together. And how, you know, I guess smoothly it ran in the film anyway, or how smoothly they wanted you to run it, because the store I worked in was a freaking shit show every day. Busy. Maybe I'll talk about that one day. I'll talk about my grocery store experience. But anyway, definitely check this movie out. I will also say, if you've looked into it anymore, it will also say Bruce Campbell's in this movie. I will say he does have a small cameo, but they really bait you out using him, because again, on a one cover of the DVD I had seen, here recently actually, it has on the very top, it says Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi on the top, like they're the big freaking stars of the movie. But Bruce Campbell's, I honestly didn't even notice Bruce Campbell in it the first time I watched it. He's in such a small part, it just kind of went over my head. Sam Raimi is definitely more prevalent in this movie. He definitely has much more of a role in this film than Bruce Campbell does at all. But anyway, it is a great movie, great ending. Not only do you get find out, when you find out who the killer is a little bit of a twist, but you get kind of a good little twist ending. So I can't recommend it enough. I will definitely, absolutely, all day long give this a 4 out of 5, because I have so much fun watching it. It is such a fun watch. The effects are so much fun. It's one of those too, like even if you work at a grocery store now, if you work overnight, if you're on the night crew or something and you get home, I know how that used to be. You get home. I used to love getting off really early in the morning, or really late at night, whatever you want to say, and going home and watching a movie. This is a perfect one. This is one of those where I would get off really really late, like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, sometimes, and I would come home, and this one was always a fun watch. It was just a great little wind down, kind of piece from working all day and that good stuff. But anyway, I apologize, I'm rambling now. I wish I had more to say about this, but yeah, definitely check this one out. I cannot recommend it enough. Definitely grab this copy. This is the director's cut, because some of the gore was cut out of the regular version, but definitely get this one. This one also has the DVD, which I always appreciate. I love the DVD Blu-ray combos. I think that's amazing. I wish they would always do that with all the Blu-rays. I don't see why they wouldn't. But I guess I get it. It's for financial reasons. But that, if I'm paying, $20 for that's not what I paid for this one. But if I'm paying $20 for a Blu-ray, Scream Factory is really good about doing that, giving you a Blu-ray and a DVD copy. But if I'm paying $20 for one, I think that is, the least that you could do would give me a DVD copy of it as well. I prefer that, me personally, but anyway, definitely watch this one, Intruder. This one, I'm 4 out of 5. I could actually probably rank it higher, but I feel like I've been too generous recently, but I do enjoy it. Love this movie. Definitely one of my favorite slashers set in a grocery store. It's also really humorous too. I don't know if you can see that, half off, the guy's cut in half in a trash can. So a lot of humor in it, a lot of campy, kind of goofy humor. I love that. And Sam Raimi did not direct this, but it is, if you had told me Sam Raimi directed this, I would believe you. Like, you know what I mean? It is very much, it is very much in his style. Not exactly. I can spot a Sam Raimi film from a mile away, just watching it, but felt very Sam Raimi. So, but it wasn't. He didn't direct it. He was just in it, and I believe he did have a hand in it. But I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. But yeah, definitely check that one out. 4 out of 5. That's Intruder. I hope you guys have a nice day. Stay tuned for the next episode. Goodbye.